While Rafe and Mars roamed from shop to shop, Alvin came to a decision at headquarters. "If we are going to help that Professor Jung," he announced, "we should find out more about bald eagles. I think we should go and have lunch and then go down to the library." Wailing jumped up enthusiastically. "Good idea," she smiled, polishing her glasses. She loved going to lunch with Alvin, and even if they wouldn't be alone. As they walked down to the burger restaurant, Alvin put a call through to Cinchita and told her about their new taste. Cinchita had signed up for an art class during the holidays. Her class had just finished and she agreed to meet them at the library. When they got to the library, they found Cinchita seated at a long table, surrounded by books about birds. She was stretching an American bald eagle on her pad, her brow knitted in concentration. "It's beautiful," gasped Wailing, watching her over her shoulder. "You are so clever. I cannot draw for nuts." "I have been reading all about them," Cinchita told her, setting down her pencil. "Did you know that bald eagles can live for about up to 30 years? Soon Alvin and Wailing and Azizu were flipping through the pages of bird books. Suddenly Wailing gave a cry of excitement. Alvin looked. "It says here that when a male bald eagle pairs with a female bald eagle, they stay together for life. Isn't that romantic?" When she cast a dreamy look at Alvin, Azizu rolled his eyes and nudged Alvin. He couldn't imagine his friend spending 30 years with Wailing. Cinchita, clad in a V-neck tee and skinny jeans, leaned over her lithe body over the table to read Wailing's book. Her long lashes flitted as she scanned the text. "I wish my parents could have read that before they got married," she observed sarcastically. Azizu shot her a curious glance. "Where is your father?" he wanted to know. "Is your mother really going to divorce him?" Cinchita turned away and returned to her chair. "He won't come back. He and Mom are always fighting." She lapsed into silence and continued stretching. Azizu knew his parents would never leave each other, but he didn't say so. He'd recognized the warning look in Cinchita's eyes. That night, Rafe and Mars reached Professor Jung's house ahead of the others because Rafe always traveled by taxi. The mansion, which was the only word Rafe could think of to describe it, stood on a small hill overlooking the city. It was easily the largest house in the neighborhood of the large houses, he thought. It was also the most derelict. Its name, Birdwalk, was emblazoned on the old concrete gateposts in rusted brass letters. Beyond them was a scene of desolation. Huge palms lined the winding gravel path. The moon illuminated the rambling garden of bushes and flowers grown wild. Once it must have been a magnificent landscape, but years of neglect had turned it into a tangled wilderness that sprawled down the hillside. Crouched in the dense shrubbery at the top of the drive, the old Spanish-style house was also a picture of disrepair. Some windows looked to have been boarded up, and missing tiles left mysterious gaps in the roof. Ivy clung the wall of the mansion, climbing unchecked over its facade. In fact, Birdwalk would have seemed empty and abandoned were it not for several lights shining in its upstairs windows. Mars gripped Rafe's hand. "I don't want to go up there," she whispered. "It looks like something out of A spooky movie. Well, that's why the professor with the missing eagle lives, Rafi reminded him. And from what Alvin has told me, the old man is about as weird as his house. A bus came rumbling up the hill and stopped further along the road. Alvin, wailing, Sinchita, and Azizu poured out. When she reached the gate, Wailing took one look at the drive and shuddered. So this is where Professor Julius Jung lives, she remarked. What a mess. Besides her, Azizu fiddled with his cap. I don't blame the eagle for leaving, he joked, even if it is dead. Alvin was leading the way up the drive when a harsh sound suddenly shattered the peaceful night. Someone had done an engine into life. Moments later, a black shape came around the side of the house. Down, yelled Alvin as the motorbike sped towards them. They dived into the shadowy bushes behind the palms as the black bike rolled down the drive, spraying gravel to either side. A figure dressed entirely in black has hunched over the machine. A black helmet and visor concealed the rider's face. The bike's lights were switched off. It hurtled past and swung out into the street, leaving a cloud of exhaust fumes drifting into the night air. They clambered out from cover and looked at one another. Something's happened, Alvin cried. Follow me. And he raced to the drive, followed by the other investigators. Do you think the professor's okay? Azizu panted, pulling his cap down tightly over his head. I hope so, Alvin puffed. Alvin kept pace behind them. Wailing kept pace beside them. The truth was, Wailing could run even faster when she could swim, than she could swim, but she didn't want to outrun Alvin and Azizu and make them lose face. I wonder if this has got something to do with the missing eagle. She tossed her question to Alvin. I told you it was weird the professor didn't want to call the police. Maybe there's more to this case than meets the eye, Rafe speculated from behind her. He could sprint even faster than Wheeling, but he was helping Marsh run in high heels. We'll find out soon enough, Alvin said firmly as he reached the front door. The huge wooden door yawned open and Alvin's radar was instantly on alert. He stepped into a gloomy hallway. His nose twitched. The damp, musty air was thick with the smell of neglect. Rafe pointed to a broad staircase that wound up to the top floor. That's where all the lights are on, he whispered. He and Alvin crept softly up the stairs. The others followed closely behind. The house was still, a place of shadowy and silence. Their heartbeats were the only sounds they could hear. At the top of the stairs they faced another corridor. All the doors were shut, although strays of light shone beneath some of them. Alvin and Rafe exchanged a quick glance and moved to the first door. Rafe opened it and they stepped into a huge bedroom. And a hugely messy bedroom at that, thought Alvin. The mattress had been torn from the bed and sliced open. Feathers fluttered all over the floor. The wardrobe doors hung open and clothes had been tossed out everywhere. The dressing table and the bedside cupboard had also been ransacked. Azizu stuck his head round the corner, gaping at the chaos. Someone else must be looking for the eagle, he said. But why would anyone keep a stuffed bird in his bedroom? Rafe moved down the hall to the next room. It was completely empty except for the remains of some cushions that had been torn into pieces. The third door opened into the study. Books had been put down from the large shelves and scattered all over the place. A large desk by the window had been thoroughly searched. Its drawers had been smashed, their contents emptied out. The carpet is messy, heaps of stones around the room. Alvin seized Rafi's arms and pointed towards the thick curtains that had been whipped down from the window. Rafi caught his breath. From beneath the tangled folds of the curtain something was poking out into the room. With a sickening lurch of his stomach, Rafi recognized a foot.